We do not have any public hearings or presentations. Are there any public comments? Hearing none. Are there any requests for removal of the items from the consent agenda? Oh, Ann, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm Ann Vanderhorn. I was here in the fall over a piece of property at 316 South Main. In all honesty, I thought that was signed, sealed, and delivered. I thought the village owned the parking lot and everything was done. This last week, I've gotten several calls that another problem has arisen. I have a deed that I bought 316 South Main, Track 1, in 1981 from Pat and Will Bauman. Now it appears there's another deed that is Track 1, and Mr. Davies, I really need you on this one. This has been signed by you, that Dean Grimm owns Track 1. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm getting really tired of this. It's he says, she says. I have been paying taxes on property supposedly that I thought I owned, which now I found out that I don't own because I was assessed for it. So I guess I'm just saying to the board, you can't expect a citizen of Morton, plus I own property, to keep going back and forth, to say Dean owns it, he's been paying, I own it, I've been paying, and now I'm going to be kind of rude. For 30 years, I bought this property from Pat and Will Bauman. I always wondered why they detested Dean Grimm so much. I'm starting to figure out why. Because that piece of property, which I don't care about the parking lot, but that piece of property, pardon me, should have gone to Home Oil. How Dean got that away from Bauman's, I have no idea. But Tom, when you did this deed at 89, from what I've been told, and that's why I'm tired of the he said, she said stuff, you had to do this. This shows that Dean Grimm owns Track 1 so that he could have gotten the parking lot, and that he too has been paying taxes on Track 1. So I'm here to tell you I'm old. One of these days I'm going to sell the building, and I don't want this cloud hanging over me of who owns the building and who pays taxes. And you know, it's kind of like when you've been audited. The accountant can only work with the figures that's been given him. Our assessor can only work with the paper that's been given to them. And if supposedly everybody owns this property, it's going to be very confusing. So as a taxpayer, as a citizen, I'm getting a little embarrassed of the comments that's coming around Morton with integrity about landowners and we people. And I think we need to clean up our act. So I don't know, Tom, whether I come to you. I want a title.
You'll need to go to Tom. And
okay.
It's my understanding that this is a disagreement with two owners, which you will probably have to work between you two. But first go to Tom.
Who's the two owners, Norm?
First go to Tom.
Thank you, but I've gone to Tom before. That's what I guess I'm getting a little upset with. I went to Tom in the fall, and all I'm getting is runaround.
But you need to go to Tom about what the village, how the village is involved in this. He represents the board.
Okay, but one more time I repeat. I went to Tom in the fall because the village was involved.
And I also said that it's really between two property owners, not the village.
Well, I don't mean to be rude, but two people can't have the same deed to the same piece of land.
That's why I think you need to work that out with the other property owner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Any others? Okay, request for removal of items from the consent agenda. The items tonight are the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of April 15th and approval of bills. Hearing none, the board want to move anything down? May I have a motion? Roll call.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman. Hoffman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Okay, the first item that I have tonight is ordinance number 12-40, an ordinance approving a land lease agreement between the Village of Morton and Morton Unit School District, 709. It was announced 2 weeks ago that we were looking at the possibility of a 99-year lease, and there's a requirement by law that we have a 2-week time period for community input on that. With that tonight, I'm going to ask Jeff to go over some of the parts of that agreement, and I would like Roger to put it on the screen, if you would, so people can see what we're talking about.
This is the piece of property to the left of the new fire station. We made an intergovernmental agreement with the school district to move all the buses that are currently parked at the high school to the rear of this property. It's a 99-year lease, and what that encompasses is that we own all the way to Cortland. They're just going to rent this back piece, which backs up to the truck stop. And what we have here is the school will be paying for lighting, fencing, and any concrete. They may put a building up, they may not, but they plan on parking all the employee parking and their buses within that area. And as a result, the ground at the high school will be vacant, and the school can do with that as they please. We have some masonry standards for the building that were, I had Mr. Spangler, zoning office, help craft and write so that it would blend with the new firehouse. We also had Mr. Laudermilk, Director of Public Works. He's going to work with the school on all this, the water retention and the pouring of the concrete so that it slopes and is done to the village standards. Cameras will be installed, and the village will pay for that because we have that capacity with our fire station. So it will be a secure lot, all fenced in. They will have the buses go in on one side and then come out the other, which will leave all the ground in the front for future village uses. One of them will be a bulk water storage facility with all the contractors on I-55 and 74 construction. There will be a need for them to buy large amounts of water, and we're going to provide for that. And we will make money on that. Also, in the agreement, that if the school decides to terminate the lease before 10 years, they have no reimbursement for any of their expenses. If they stay past 10 years, then they can receive 50% of their expenses. But that, again, is only for concrete, fences, and that, because the village would use the property. If they're there after 30 years, there's no reimbursement. And if they decide to use asphalt, there will be no reimbursement because the village wants concrete, just for long-term maintenance. Also, part of that is the school district owns almost a 19-acre tract of land on Harding Avenue, and the village is requesting that they annex that to the village of Morton. The village, the school will not pay any annexation fees, but the village wants that zoned D3 and annexed, and that way in the future, whoever or whatever would be done to that property, it would be built to the standards of Morton, like no gravel parking lots, no cell towers. And all this property would be developed by the school, paid by the school, and if they stay there past 30 years, there's no reimbursement. I would envision more than likely they will be, but we made provisions to be fair to both parties, but it was an intergovernment agreement. This thing has taken probably a year and a half to 2 years to put together, and I want you to know that these agreements aren't easy to do, and without the staff that the village has, Mr. Laudermilk, the village administrator, Wendy Farrell, and Roger Spangler, we couldn't do this as a board. So we do have a good staff. We've made an intergovernment agreement, and I would recommend approval.
Second.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I had, Jeff, earlier I had asked Attorney Davies about the information we got in our packet, and I think inadvertently, maybe we didn't receive a portion of the agreement. And I understand in talking with Tom that any revisions to the agreement since our last board meeting that were made to provide more clarity, it did not affect the section that I had a question about. So I understand that language still remained the same. And what I'm referring to is in Exhibit E, paragraph 8, it references the agreement regarding property matters / property, bus property lease. And I don't know if I was the only one, but I didn't get a copy of that. I think it was just, a clerical error. But I guess I just want to note, I didn't see that in my packet, and based on what you just reported, the terms are still the same from the last meeting, and so I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman. Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed. Ordinance number 12-38, an ordinance abating municipal taxes. This relates to Monsanto. There's been a lot of discussion out in the newspaper, but based on the agreement we had with Monsanto, we could not use their name until this point, and so we are now doing that. The abatement is for 5 years. It is 95% of the real estate taxes. This is the abatement relates to the school, the park district, the library, all of the taxing bodies. Usually, we only do a 50% abatement, but due to the land compaction problem of that part of town, we do have difficulties, or I should say, there's a difficulty in getting companies to come, and so we did want to do an additional percentage beyond the 50%. We will receive the same amount of real estate tax money as for the next 5 years as we receive today, and the same thing is true with the other taxing bodies. So it's our recommendation, and may I have a motion? Discussion.
Point of clarification, Your Honor. The ordinance says 90%.
I'm sorry, 90%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I did also want clarification. The ordinance 1238, it references this investment as $26 million. That's the whole project.
It's really, yeah,
So for the portion that we're abating, it's based on the $5 million investment in Morton, right?
that's
Correct?
correct.
So
Approximately 5.
I'd make a motion to revise the ordinance to state $5 million instead of $26 million.
Can we say approximately, because it might be
That's
slightly
fine.
different? Any problem with that? You want to, that was a motion?
That was a motion.
To amend?
Right.
All
I would
right,
amend my motion.
okay. Is that fine, to include that? All right. In that case, any other discussion? Roll call.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Okay, the last ordinance tonight is 12-39, an ordinance amending the legal description of parcels in the agreement adopted under ordinance number 12-23. This was the exchange of property between the village and Sam Parrott. This was cleanup language and any additional
Right,
information?
no change in the substantive provisions. Basically, there's a change in the legal descriptions because the village had a survey done, and later in the meeting, you will be approving a plat showing those two changes, so we thought we'd use the most current and a better description than the old ones.
It's our recommendation for approval.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Motion passed. Mr. Clerk, do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Ms. Farrell?
Tonight, I'm asking for approval to transfer $8,000 from the general fund to the capital projects fund.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, we'll move down to our department heads. Chief?
I just wanted to report to everyone that we collected over 253 pounds of unused or expired drugs this last Saturday.
Thanks for doing that. Counselor,
I have nothing to report.
Chief,
Nothing tonight, right?
Mr. Lauderman, Mr. Spangler. Okay, let's move over to the trustees. Mr. Belsley,
Nothing to see.
Mr. Hare, Mrs. Herman.
Thank you, Robin. I have ordinance number 1236. Again, at our last meeting, we had a first reading. And the language in what we read at the last meeting was compared to the language of our existing ordinance. In some respects, the new language seemed overly restrictive. And then there was some confusing and contradictory and redundant language in our existing ordinance. So I worked on revamping that with the goals that we would encourage public participation and then also be fair to all forms of the media and not be discriminatory in favor of the print media, and still provide that the president would have the tools to maintain decorum. So I discussed all these concerns with Tom, and he agreed that really our existing ordinance does a fairly good job of meeting those goals. We decided to tweak just a couple of items to provide a little more clarity in regard to people addressing the board. So there are just two changes. One change would be that all comments shall be limited to matters which the President and Board of Trustees has supervisory, appointive, or legislative authority, or to hear a citizen speak on a matter of a redress of a grievance. In other words, it really should be something that we can have some authority over, or we need to know for something. And then secondly, persons addressing the board should not expect an answer at the conclusion of the presentation. We just want to make sure that everyone is aware that we can't always and rarely maybe even respond. And then that would just move the existing subsection C would be renamed E, and that existing part of our ordinance says that the president shall have the authority to determine procedural matters regarding public participation not otherwise defined herein, so that the president will really have the authority to determine the length of a discussion period and that type of thing. And I believe our council agreed with those suggestions, so I would move approval of ordinance 1236.
We have a second. Any further discussion on that? Roll call.
Yarko. Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yeah.
Motion passed. Mr. Kaufman,
That's all I have.
bulky item pickup. You had a chance to talk there, and
What? I even have it highlighted. That's good. This is our first time ever for the bulky items on the new Grimm contract that me and Mr. Newhouse and Mr. Laudermilk helped negotiate. And as you got the mailer this time, you can, some of the things are doors, windows, mattresses. The idea is to help clean up Morton and have this where it's easy, accessible for people to get rid of these bulky items. So there's a list of non-acceptable, which is tires, paints, batteries, and they honestly don't expect 2 and 3 weeks of garbage put out in bags or extra garbage. This is for bulky items. The trucks are going to go around, get the mattresses, furniture, that kind of stuff. It's bulky items. Your normal garbage is to go out with your normal garbage receptacles. And that will be Saturday, May 11th, and that we'll be doing this once a year. So we'll see how it works the first time. If we have to redo some things, we'll do it next year a little differently. But this will be the first time, Saturday, May 11th.
thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Just please note, obviously, this is the first time we're working with Grimm Brothers on this, but this is not an everything day. This is not collect all your garbage for this one day. It's bulky item pickup, so I just wanted to highlight that for everybody. stuff that can go in your weekly trash, put it in your weekly trash. There may be a chance that it's not picked up. This is bulky item pickup.
Does this include appliances? I don't believe it is.
No, it does not. It does not include white goods, and everyone should have received a mailer. There's one in our packet. It'll be on the TV. It's basically, white goods, appliances, they can't go to the landfill, so those are not included. You need to contact Grimm Brothers, and they've got a private deal with some people that will come and pick it up from you. But white goods cannot be used, which would be all appliances.
And no hazardous material.
And no hazardous, but there's a list of those in their mailer.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Kaufman?
That's all, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Newhouse, you've been busy.
I think, Your Honor, that I have a record list. It may be appropriate, given the moment of this meeting, but it is a long list. Item number 1 is a request which we received in the last meeting. Everyone had a handout from Lynn's Buffet for an extension of time for relocation of the refrigeration unit in the rear of the building, which has encroached on village right-of-way for, I think, about 25 years. And there was an extension, an agreement in place to allow that non-compliance for a number of years. And in your packet, you will see the agreement we made in 2008 for a 5-year extension. Last year, January of 2012, the Lynn family acquired the building from the previous owner, Joe Miller, Cliftwood, and we notified through the village attorney at that time that they had 18 months to come into compliance, and that the village at that time did not contemplate, did not make an extension. So now we have a request for an extension. The extension that they have now, or the agreement that they have in place now, expires in August of this year. I guess I'd like to think that typically I'm pretty charitable about these things, and I generally try to make decisions to benefit local businesses, but this has been a very long period of extension. They were notified well in advance, at 18 months in advance, that they were coming to the end of their agreement, and therefore hard to imagine that an additional 6-month extension would make very much difference, and we ultimately have to have this property come into compliance. And therefore, I move that the extension not be granted and the existing August date be held firm. That's a motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Steve, I support your recommendation on that, and I hope the audience members and those viewing the meeting can understand this isn't an anti-business vote. I think the village has been more than generous with this arrangement. But my question is, I've seen in the agreement that each year they were supposed to provide us with information to show that we're additionally insured on that, and that was to be renewed each August. I'm just curious, today, are we covered?
The last communication we had with them, they had to be prompted, and I believe, Mr. Attorney, we are currently in compliance, are we not?
Yes,
Did they file?
I know the prior owner did, as far as I know. The current one is, but the prior owner.
I would, depending on the vote tonight, August is still quite a ways off if it were to terminate it now or if we were to continue till August 1st. So I just want to make sure we check and make sure that we're adequately
They are
covered.
accountable for ensuring that they are in compliance with the agreement, including the insurance
Okay.
coverage.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Elsley,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes. Vote yes and vote to deny.
Motion
Okay.
passed.
Second item, approval of a special use permit, petition 13-05 SP to allow outdoor storage of products or goods used or sold as part of the business operation at 150 East Cortlandt, Zone B3. This is basically a transfer or a renewal of the existing provision on Detroit for Farm and Fleet. Recommend approval.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call. Nope.
I hope I haven't eaten up my allotted amount of comments tonight, I'm sorry. But I did look at this, and this is approximately 27-acre site. And I see in the site plan the way the improvements are laid out. So when we vote on this, we're given the whole 27 acres, not just what they show, the special use permit?
I think the special use permit is
Or is it restricted that I
actually
don't?
their site. It's the designated site.
I think in the yellow.
I see that, but the special use goes with the property?
The special use goes with the property, and the proposed area is part of the blacktop parking area. So I suppose we could, if there's concern about it, we could probably modify the special use to designate.
Let's ask our attorney.
But let's see what Mr. Attorney says.
My reason for bringing that up is on each side of the proposed improvements, there's quite a bit of open space, and obviously it's for either expansion by Farm and Fleet or for further development, for they to subdivide it or sell that off. And if that were to happen, right now, the vote on tonight, if it were to approve it, goes with all of the 27 acres, but if they were to plat that, subdivide it, sell it off to another user, that doesn't go, or it does go with that
Does not.
user?
Go ahead.
Well, first off, I think in the motion, you could clarify it by two things. One, stating the approximate area as indicated in the presentation at the Plan Commission. Number two, I would remind everyone that we previously signed a development agreement which specifically referred to outdoor use as shown similar to what they have in another community, so I think it's sufficiently defined.
And I don't have a problem with Farm and Fleet, what they're doing. They've been a very good corporate citizen, and what they're showing, I'm fine with. I guess what I'm seeing is the potential for, if they were to sell this off to someone else, that would allow outside storage without any checks and balance in place from us to another user.
You can, in the motion, limit it to the area more specifically. Number two, if they're going to sell anything off, you have subdivision control over that. They'd have to come up with a plat and a new parcel, which you could also double check it at that time.
I believe the
You could ask
easiest,
them to relinquish.
I believe-
Calling this out, actually, the approximate area from the
Yes.
building. And
They
they're
do.
They're defining it themselves, not in relation to the
Yeah.
other.
And it's on the plat, but again, the special use goes with the whole property, right? That's what I
The
just,
special use goes with the whole property, but with the special use, you can define what it is further. And you're saying you would say it's limited to approximately 400 and to
I guess
the
I'm just
size.
asking for clarification. I'm not concerned with what Farm and Fleet's proposing
Oh.
at all, but in the future, there's several acres there on each side that it may be a good development for Morton, but then again, it's out of our hands if they were to sell it.
You have not approved a special use on all 27 acres. You've only approved a use as defined to that size on that whole piece.
Okay, but that's what I was
At
asking.
the Plan Commission, because I was there that night, the special use was approved for this. And so I would
just the
suggest,
improvements.
Randy, as Mr. Davies said, that a motion state that the special use be only for
Okay.
the designated area. And I
That's
think
great.
that solves your problem.
Yep, that's great.
And your problem does make sense.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Is that the motion?
You mind changing it?
No, I guess I would infer that the definition is part of the motion, but we can be specific and say, special use approved as identified in the plat shown in, yeah.
Okay. Second? You okay? All right. Any further
That's
discussion?
great. Thank you.
Roll call.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, item number 3, approval of special use permit. This is petition 13-06 SP to allow living quarters adjacent to business at 750 West Jefferson Zone B3. This is property on which there previously had been a residence above. It's consistent with the current ordinances on residences associated with businesses. Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Herman. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay. Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 4, pre-annexation agreement, Farm and Fleet property. Definition of part of the east half of the southeast quarter of Section 8, T25N, R3W, consisting of 10.53 acres plus or minus. This is basically the formality for the annexation of the property. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
And subsequent to that, item number 5, ordinance number 12-37. This is the ordinance that actually annexes the above described property. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 6, final plat approval for Orchard Hills subdivision, Section 8. This is just the next phase in Orchard Hills. Move to approve.
Second, Your Honor.
Discussion? Roll call.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 7, final plat approval, Fieldstone subdivision. This is Section 2. It's part of the west 100 acres of the northwest quarter, Section 22, T25N, R3W. 9.27 acres plus or minus to be zoned R1A. This is consistent with the zoning revisions we made a couple of months ago on property configurations, residential property configurations. And it also involves the, I believe, the resolution to some drainage issue. Is that right? Not correct, Mr. Superintendent? So this will be the next phase of the property, and it will also solve an existing drainage problem. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Just to note, Your Honor, that this will add 28 lots. It's a nice sized development. 28 more homes in Morton.
The stormwater, will that be maintained by the village or the homeowners, or how is that?
No, it's all, this will be a little different. It's a detention basin in series. It'll be a little more aesthetically pleasing, and all the property lines will go basically to the center of that basin. So each homeowner will share a portion of that basin, and they will maintain it. It'll be fairly similar to Orchard Hills along Oklahoma in the back there, where we'll put some right-of-way markers to identify that easement area so that homeowners don't get in there and mess up, or I shouldn't say mess up, change the grade and those things. So we'll have to have an indicator, and as these homeowners come in and start building, we'll have to be out there on site a little bit just to explain to them what the limits are.
The objective is to make sure that the village does not wind up in the drainage management business.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Do we need to vote on that?
You have it?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. You are. Roll call.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, last one. There's a preliminary and final plat approval for Morton Waterworks subdivision. This is the property adjacent to, or usually thought of as part of the fire station, the waterworks complex there. It's part of Campbell's 6th addition to the town of Morton, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. part of the northeast quarter, section 20, T25N, R3W, consisting of just about 8,700 of an acre. And this basically is a kind of a housekeeping issue to manage that property. There was a non-conforming setback, and this simply continues that. It's not practical to change it, and allows us to proceed with the other property change arrangements there. Move to approve.
So moved.
Which are you, Mr. Kaufman?
Second.
Thank you. And Mrs. Yarko, second also. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Is that it?
No, for sure. Well, do you have any and finals together? Do they need to be split? No, okay, I didn't think so. It's preliminary and final plat, just for clarification.
Okay. Mrs. Yarko.
Just one informational item. For the 2012-13 budget for tourism, we had allocated $18,000 for a speaker system downtown to warn people of emergencies, get announcements out. Happy to report that we found a provider over $2,000 less, and that will be installed in May. So we're moving along with that. That's all I have.
And that speaker system was paid for by the people who attend, who
By the
use
out-of-town
our
visitors
hotels.
that come and use our hotels, paid for that speaker system, and it'll make us all much safer if a storm comes. Get announcements out. Yes. Jeff's happy
Are you-
about the Christmas Carol part.
You're not leading it, are you? Okay. If he's leading it, I want to know where
Dana
the
Tauber's
switch is
singing
at.
over there.
Okay, tonight we do have a closed session. I apologize for that, but we do have a couple of things that we have to do with this last meeting, and we will hurry to get out. If we don't, it's Mr. Kaufman's fault, so.
Your Honor, excuse
Yeah.
me, speaking of Mr. Kaufman, I believe there is one item remaining on the trustee's business, and as the senior trustee here, I believe Mr. Kaufman will take responsibility for it. Longest serving.
Tonight, I'd like to take some time to honor the service of our trustee, Betsy Yarko. She served for over 5 years now, and when she came on board, I really didn't know her very much, but one word I think can describe her service is impressive. And history will have it, though, that I'm the only male trustee that had to run against two very qualified and capable female trustees. Thank goodness there wasn't a fourth person on the ballot. But over the years, several times, I've called Betsy on numerous occasions, wanted to talk about things before the board, and said, you know, if I'd make a first, would you make a second motion? And she's always done that for me, and I've always appreciated her honesty, integrity, and always trying to do what's right for the village. She's done it time again, Betsy. It's appreciated. Nobody tried harder than me to twist her arm to get her to run for re-election one more time, but she decided not to. And when she informed us that she wasn't, I wrote her an email sincerely thanking her for her work on the tourism. And she worked along with Susan Piles and others, and she truly took the Morton Tourism and Grant Program to another level. I could not have done what she did. I thought it was a very tough assignment, and always appreciated your graciousness in doing that. Betsy's response to my email, which I'm going to hold her to, is she said she would be the loudest supporter, cheerleader of the village board in all our future efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Betsy Yarko. We have a plaque here in recognition of more than 5 years of outstanding service as a Morton Village trustee. With deep appreciation of her fellow trustees, the Village of Morton hereby presents this award to Betsy Yarko. March 2008 to April 2013. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Newhouse, any of the trustees like to have something to say?
I only say that it's been a pleasure to serve with Mrs. Yarko. She's an outstanding trustee and has brought dedication, and as you said, integrity and wisdom to the board. We will miss her.
Betsy, I appreciate your genuine and gracious smile and your calm demeanor and all of your knowledge of insurance. When I was first on the board, one of my assignments was insurance, and it was not exactly my forte, so we were so blessed to have you and your expertise in that area. And in regard to the tourism, you have the perfect personality and abilities in that department, and I'm so glad you're going to be out there cheering us on as we move forward in that regard. Thank you for everything.
Well, I'd like to say I'm extremely disappointed because really only 8 months here that we got to work together. That's right. I wish it could be more because I've known you for a long time and always respected your leadership and your character. And it's important to all of Morton that they know how committed you are to the cause and how much Morton means to you. And you've always done a lot to support that. And you need to be thanked. Thank you.
I've known Betsy for years with both of us having children of the same age, and I've always known what a quality individual she is. So working with her on the board, it was no surprise to see just how she conducted herself and just what an asset she was to the board and the work that she put into the responsibilities given to her. So very fortunate to have worked with you. I appreciate that, appreciate your service, and wish you and Matt many happy years in whatever you do other than this on Monday nights. So in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Betsy, you didn't let me down. And your quality is just unbelievable, and you have really placed a mark on the wall for all trustees and mayors to try to achieve. You are the best. You truly are. So thank you for saying yes when I asked you to do this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we'd also like to honor our Mayor, Norm Durflinger. As bad as I wanted to tell some stories tonight, I decided in a late hour to talk about some accomplishments. So you started the consent agenda and you didn't stop there. You're always looking for areas to improve Morton and to move Morton forward, I think is the key in trying to make Morton a better place to live, raise a family, and to have your business. You've been a great ambassador for the Village of Morton. You made us look at all our development costs for subdivisions, for existing businesses, and attracting new businesses, which we needed to do, and we were really behind the times on. And you've always been supportive of the village staff to have the newest and best technology. And I'm here to tell you that's big. The technology the village staff has both in the office and in the field is amazing. There's so much technology out there. I don't know if many citizens realize we even spent $1 million to have meter readers that you can now read from your vehicles. We improved our GIS, upgraded our website, and all new accounting software. And Norm, you've been a driving force to that. And I've really never found any technology that you didn't support and push that way. And really, it's amazing. I've seen it every time I go in Craig's office, what we can do and what we can do, and it saves us money everywhere, from contractors coming to town to doing work. And one tall tale sign of it is I was in a happenstance meeting with Mr. Newhouse in Mrs. Farrell's office one day, and we were looking at the general fund balance, and for some reason we thought we were going to be down around 3 to 4 when we were up at 6. And we finally came to the conclusion, me and Mr. Newhouse, that all this investment into technology is starting to pay off, from salaries to technology of being able to do things. And in 2005, since 2005, we not only maintained our general fund balances, but we have verified, audited financials that when you started, we had $4.5 million in the general fund. Today, we have $7.4 million. It's a 40% increase. So I'm going to spend it while you're gone. Had to get the last yet.
It's a full-time job keeping you from spending it.
Jeff, I'm looking at faces out here of people who think you're telling the truth.
I know, but that's just the way it is. Morton had a lot of successes for the village and its citizens, and you've been moving forward to Morton for 8 years. You've been moving forward, and I want to be the first to thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
The Honorable Mayor Norm Durflinger.
Thank you, Jeff. You always do. Turned around.
Okay. No, what? I think I will read it. To his honor, the mayor, Norm Durflinger, with deep appreciation of his fellow board members and citizens of Morton for more than 33 years of outstanding service. Zoning Board of Appeals, 1980 to 1990, Morton Planning Commission, 1990 to 2005, and the president of the Village of Morton from 2005 to 2013. Thank you.
I want to point out, this is the first gavel that they've given me. And I also want to point out that Mike Bush recognized that, and he gave me a gavel to use tonight to finish the meeting and give it to the village board for future use. And so, Ron, when he's out of order, hit the gavel. I never, okay? One last comment, though. I really appreciate the remarks, but you guys know more than anyone that this is a team. It wasn't done by me. This was done by us. And it was the constant vigilance that all of you had in your departments that made this place work. And so thank you for a great 8 years and what you've done. With that, I need a motion to go into closed session. Roll call.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Motion passed. Under consideration of matters arising from closed session, Mr. Kaufman.
I have an announcement to make concerning the proposed downtown plaza. In the past few weeks, and especially the last couple of days, private funds have become available and has now made it possible to announce that the Plaza Committee will be looking at the cost feasibility of a new plaza site. The new site would be the removal and closure of Plum Street, which sits directly in front of the old police station, from Jefferson to Adams. So we would close Plum from Jefferson to Adams in front of the police station, and then the site would go east, would go east to approximately the third row of parking behind the Main Street buildings that face Main Street between Jefferson and Adams. This site is considerably larger than the present site, and the existing site as it sits now, the board has already decided in the past here that no further land purchases of property in that area. So to address that grassy knoll area, there's the possibility that the tourism director would use that site possibly then for future activities such as the barbecue showdown. Those items could grow, bike races and others, and part of the Pumpkin Festival site. It would be the intent of the Plaza Committee then to put a plan together to bring back to the village board to ask for a consent vote of the Board of Trustees to proceed with talking to the various committees that have worked so hard on this downtown plaza already. The intent is to leave no one out of the process. We would include the War Memorial, the Chamber, the Downtown Business, the Park District, and all the other boards that I haven't mentioned will all have an opportunity in this process to have their input and concerns addressed. We would then have the Plaza Committee put all this information back together and make a second presentation to the Board of Trustees and seek their approval again to go out and raise funds. And we would hope we could have this done by Pumpkin Festival is our goal. But in the end, we all have to remember, this is the Citizens Plaza. But this site has been available now in private funds, so we need to look at the cost feasibility of moving the site at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the adjournment of the meeting sign die, but before we do that, Mr. Ranson, would you please come forward? And while he's doing that, come on around, if you would. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, sign die?
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same? Now that we have one, I want to pass it on to you.
Thank you, sir.
Have fun. I did.
Thanks.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Joseph Knoll, having been elected
I, Joseph Knoll, having been elected
to the position of village clerk for the village of Morton,
to the position of the village clerk of the village of Morton,
County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and
Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of village clerk
the duties of the office of village clerk
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Should we do it here or do it over there, or
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I do it out there for pictures.
Out there? Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ronald Rainson,
Ronald Ransom,
having been elected to the position of village president
having been elected to the position of village president
for the village of Morton, County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
for the village of Morton, County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village president
of the office of village president
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you. And here is your... Mr. Dobb? Raise your right hand. I, Tom Dobb,
I, Tom Dodd,
having been elected to the position of village trustee
having been elected to the position of village trustee
for the village of Morton, County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
for the village of Morton, County of Tazewell, State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Okay, and here's yours. Raise your right hand. I, Sam Hare,
I, Sam Hare,
having been elected to the position of village trustee
having been elected to the position of village trustee
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell, state of Illinois,
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell, state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I, Ginger Herman,
I, Ginger Herman,
having been elected to the position of village trustee
having been elected to the position of village trustee
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell, state of Illinois,
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell, state of Illinois,
do solemnly affirm that I will support
do solemnly affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
There we go. I, Jeff Kaufman,
I, Jeff Kaufman,
having been elected to the position of village trustee
having been elected to the position of village trustee
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell, state of Illinois,
for the village of Morton, county of Tazewell County, in the state of Illinois,
do solemnly affirm that I will support
solemnly affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
I'd like to call the new board to order.
Would you like a roll call?
Please.
Belsley.
Here.
Dobb.
Here.
Hare.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
Newhouse. You have a quorum.
The first item of business is approval of trustee assignments. Under the statutes of the city, the village president is supposed to be in charge of the village and the employees, but he's fortunately allowed to ask the trustees if they will to help out in this capacity, and I have given the trustees a list of areas which I hope they'd be willing to work in, and I guess we could read the entire list, but it would take quite a while, and I would suggest that if the village trustees are willing to approve the list, that we can just make sure that it's posted, if that's okay. The administrator can get it posted so everybody can read to see who's responsible for what. If that's satisfactory, I'd ask someone to make a motion. Jeff and Ginger. Anyone have any comments? All those in favor? Okay, roll call.
Okay, well, it's up to you.
No, that's all right.
Okay. Dobb. Hare. Herman. Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse. Belsley.
The next item is approval appointment of Ginger Herman as President Pro Tem. Can I have a motion? The reason I've asked Ginger to do this is that she, of course, has been the Mayor Pro Tem for Norm, and I'm a new mayor. It just seemed to me not only could she be the Mayor Pro Tem, but she can also be my teacher. And so I've asked her to accept this, and I would ask for a roll call.
Hare. Herman. Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse. Belsley. Dobb.
Village Administrator?
Tonight, I'm asking for approval to approve the proactive technical services agreement with Pearl Technology. We've been using Pearl since 2009. This would be for $40,860 per year for 3 years. Did you want to ask specific questions?
Well, could you explain a little bit more so people have a feel for why we're doing this?
Well, we have what is an IT and a GIS manager. Basically, he oversees all of the IT, but we have 7 facilities that we're trying to connect to the internet, up and running with computers. Important things, I was over at the wastewater plant, and I'm seeing all of the stuff that they're doing, just regulating everything. And it would require somebody that has a high level of IT to keep us up and running. What Pearl offers us is 3 levels of support with this agreement, which ranges from a technician fixing your basic computer issues up to a network engineer, which can become very pricey if you tried to have this person, employed with the village. We added a few new things this year. One is proactive maintenance on our server. This last year, we have added a Microsoft Exchange server for our email. It's allowing us to connect all of our facilities, so they'll do more proactive maintenance than just waiting until there's an issue. There is employee security awareness and training and vulnerability assessments. And this year, I'm just now starting the audit, and these are questions that are actually already addressed. First time, but they're being addressed by our auditors. So it was nice to see that we're trying to get this in place at the same time that our auditors are. So we know that Pearl is looking at these things and realizing what is coming and getting us on board with that. In 2010, they helped us develop a plan for IT strategy, how to bring ourselves more up with the technology. And a lot of the IT infrastructure that we have in place today was a part of that plan. So they'll be looking out over these next 3 years, helping us build on what we already have. When we looked at this, I believe in 2009, they had looked at possibly hiring someone to do this, and what they found is, with what we could offer, we couldn't find a good fit, somebody with the skill level to do this for us. And when I figure in the cost of insurance and pensions and all of that, there is just no way that we would be able to hire someone for this amount. Jeff does an excellent job of doing the Tier 1 support and helping us kind of keep everybody coordinated, but he does need some help.
Any questions from any of the trustees? Call the roll.
I need a motion.
Oh, sorry, I thought we had one.
And a second? Second. Who was that, please?
Sam?
Herman?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Newhouse?
Yes.
Belsley? Dobb? Hare?
Director of Public Works?
I have 3 things tonight, Your Honor. First one is I'd like to ask for permission to request bids for a tractor loader backhoe for the water distribution department.
Do we want to do these separately, or do you do them together?
Do we even need a vote on this, or?
All right.
Yeah, I have 2 then.
Hey, why don't you read the first 2?
Yeah, the next one is a permission to request bids for the water distribution department truck.
What, I was hoping you could just give me a little feel for how you decide to buy new vehicles.
Yeah, on the tractor loader backhoe, we currently competitively bid every 5 years. We have 4 backhoes in Public Works, and we do purchase those with a 5-year buyback option. So at year 5, we actually own it when we buy it, but we have that option to get money back on the buyback option. We've been doing this for 15 plus years. They've ended up being Caterpillars every year. It's a great deal, I think, for us. It keeps us under warranty. Basically, we get a brand new machine every 5 years. On the truck, we budgeted 1 truck this year in Public Works. The truck we got in there, I budgeted $35,000. Basically, this is a truck that's used year-round by one of our gas and water utility techs. It's got some high mileage and has had some recent repairs. But basically, what we do with this, we have them on a 10-year replacement program to help us monitor them throughout the year. But ultimately, the chief mechanic, Ryan Noss, mechanic supervisor, Mike Ingold, and then the department head, or the department superintendents. They go through them in detail too and make a recommendation to me. So this one definitely falls into that list.
May I assume there's a consensus that this is a good idea? I think the third one needs a separate, I think we need a motion for the third one.
Okay, that's fine.
And the third one is, I'd like to ask for acceptance of bid for the Greenwood Street project, which is from South 4th Avenue to Brentwood Road, in the amount of $536,783.55, and award of contract for same to Illinois Civil Contractors Incorporated. No, this is a complete street, sidewalk, curbs, pavement, right in front of Grundy School. It's a long overdue project. That is well over $100,000 under our engineer's estimate and budgeted amount. So with the economic conditions right now in the bidding process, this is an excellent price.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
Steve and Sam. Would you call the roll?
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse. Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Do any of the trustees have anything else they'd like to mention?
I've talked enough.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second? Let's do it all in favor.
Yes, we do.
All in favor? We're adjourned.